Hi, today we are going to talk about time. I want to start this stopwatch so you can get an idea. What we're looking at right now is three places. This place represents the hours. This place represents the minutes, and this place represents the seconds. Underneath the seconds, you can see what amounts to part of the seconds. But as I talk, you can see the seconds ticking away. So now I've been talking for 16 seconds, and it keeps going as I am speaking. The more it ticks, the longer it takes. So it was 16, that was the shortest amount of time, and now we're at 28. And it's just going to keep ticking away. Time has many types of clocks that we can look at to discover the types of clocks or what time it is. So many of you are used to looking at the clock on phones or the clock here on the computer, but there are all types of clocks out there. This is an older type of clock that you might see, but it's an alarm clock. This is a grandfather clock. You might see this on a watch. And so there are two different types. There's the analog clock, which has a face with numbers around it and hands on it. And then there's the digital clock that just shows you the number. The digital clock is what you see when you look at your phone, or if you look down here at the computer, you can see the time. Time has many units of measure. Today we're going to talk about seconds, minutes, and hours. So when you're looking at this, you can see that I have seconds here. Seconds is the smallest measure of time that we will talk about. And as you can see, if I go back to my stopwatch, we're now up to 1 minute and 51 seconds. So seconds tick away, and they're the fastest unit of time, or the smallest unit of time. So it takes 60 seconds to make one whole minute. And as you can see, I've been talking for about 2 minutes now. And so a minute isn't that long either, but it's longer than a second is. And when we get to 60 of them, we have a minute. When you look at a clock, you might see an hour hand, which is the shorter hand on the clock. And you might see a minute hand, which is the longer hand on the clock. But many clocks also have a third hand, and usually it's really skinny and it looks like this, and it keeps moving around the clock the entire time. That is called the second hand because it is counting the seconds. Now, the minutes are a small measure of time, and we know that it takes 60 seconds to make 1 minute. But it takes 60 minutes to make one whole hour. So in other words, if I am looking at an analog clock, the second hand has to go entirely around the clock for 1 minute to pass. But the minute hand has to go all the way around the clock for 1 hour to pass. And so it takes 1 hour for the minute hand to get around and 1 minute for the second hand to get around. There are 12 hours on a clock, and it takes 12 hours for the hour hand to get all the way around. Now, there are 24 hours in a day. 24 hours in a day. So the hour hand has to go around an analog clock 2 whole times before 1 whole day goes. We start out a day at 12 o'clock a.m., and so that's midnight. You're asleep when the day begins. And we go all the way around. When it gets to 12 o'clock again, that's noontime. At noontime, you are finishing lunch. And then it goes all the way around again back to 12 o'clock. It goes to 11:59, and that's the day. When it hits 12 o'clock, that starts a new day. One thing you will never see in time, you will never see the time 1:60. Even though there are 60 minutes in an hour, we never say the time is 1:60. After it gets to 59, we start counting over again at 0. And so 12 represents our 0 mark. And because of that, we count that. That's 0. That's our first minute of the day. And then we go all the way around to 59. And so that's all I want to tell you about time today. We are going to talk about seconds on our homework today. Remember, the shorter the time is, the faster something is in seconds. Let's take one more peek at our stopwatch. I've talked for 4 minutes and 48 seconds. And if you notice, On my clock here, it's showing you the time as well. I've been recording for a whole 5 minutes. So now I'm going to stop, but I want you to get that good concept of time.